Avoiding decision fatigue. How to make consistent, high-quality decisions. It may seem liberating to live in a world where variety is abundant, choices are endless, and there are at least 17 pizza options in a 2-mile radius. You have your pick, no matter what you're in search of. However, too many decisions can negatively impact your cognitive capacity, increasing the likelihood of procrastination, making poor choices, and decreasing your willpower, setting you up to be exhausted and overwhelmed. At the end of the day, if you're feeling irritable, tired, and having trouble focusing, you may be experiencing decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is the inability to focus and the experience of decreased energy caused by making too many decisions. Your brain makes thousands of decisions every day. Some studies say 10,000 to 40,000 every day. All of the mental energy used to make these thousands of large and small decisions can be drained by the early afternoon. Once drained, that lack of mental energy can cause you to make poor decisions, which can also lead to increased stress and decreased productivity. Extra choices can also lead to indecision, halting the decision-making process entirely. A study at Stanford found that when grocery shoppers were offered 6 different flavors of jams, 30% of shoppers purchased a jar of jam. In contrast, when shoppers were given 24 different flavors of jam, only 3% of shoppers purchased a jar. Were the shoppers experiencing choice overload, decision fatigue, indecision, paralysis? If you've ever felt agonized after a trip to the candy shop or ice cream parlor, you understand this concept. Mint chocolate chip or hazelnut almond, chocolate espresso or coconut fudge. The task of making a decision can be debilitating and can drain precious brain power. When you face a decision far more important than jam or ice cream, the stakes become even higher, and the side effects can be more taxing on the mind. The good news is there are ways to ensure you're saving your decision-making cells for important decisions, rather than wasting them on everyday non-essential rulings. This means that while variety may be the spice of life, variety for certain things may not be the way to go. Here are 6 ways to simplify your life to alleviate the effects of decision fatigue, so you can focus on what's important in your work and life. 1. Follow routines. When you have a routine, it eliminates the need to decide what you'll do at that moment. For example, when you first wake up, if the first things you do every day make a pot of coffee, meditate, and hit the gym, then you won't have to decide what you'll do as soon as you wake, which for many people is the hardest time to make a decision. Follow these tips for creating an AM routine for success. 2. Decrease your options. Many of the choices you're given are tiny decisions you don't even realize you have to make, but they are still draining your brain power. For example, deciding what to wear, what to eat, and what to read are all decisions. To reduce the number of choices you must make, consider being more consistent. This can apply to things such as eating the same breakfast for lunch every day, ordering the same coffee every day, wearing the same thing every day. Idea courtesy of Steve Jobs, who wore a black turtleneck and jeans every day to reduce his daily decisions. 3. Set a time limit. If you're one of those people like me who can go down the rabbit hole when purchasing a product, do yourself a favor and set a time limit. Next time you're about to shop online for a new pair of shoes or a gift for mom's birthday, decide up front how long you wish to dedicate to the decision and set a timer. I use this time cube so that I don't get distracted by cell phone notifications when I'm trying to focus. When that timer goes off, if you haven't already, seal a task with a decision. 4. Make important decisions early. Once you're experiencing decision fatigue, the decisions you make will be less effective. So it's important to get any important decisions out of the way before you spend your precious brain power on trivial choices. Plan your day so that the important decisions are made by noon. 5. Avoid rehatching decisions. Once you've made your choice, stick with it. There is no such thing as a perfect decision, so second-guessing yourself will only lead to you having to make even more decisions. Once you've decided, take a deep breath and move on. 6. Don't make a decision when you're tired or hungry. To avoid making poor decisions, particularly when they are regarding important matters, gauge your energy when you begin the decision-making process. If you're too tired, plan to decide the next day. If you're too hungry, Grab a snack before making a final call. To avoid being tired or hungry, make sure you're well rested and well fed. A good night's sleep and sound nutrition are important to sharpen your decision-making skills as well. Here's an infographic to arm you with more ways to outsmart decision fatigue and make sounder judgments across the board. From the moment we wake up each day, we're faced with a continuous stream of choices. Many are minor, which route to take to work. Others are major, whether to accept a new job, and they all add up. When there are too many options, we tend to feel overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, or otherwise out of sorts. This is decision fatigue, a state of mental overload that can impede our ability to make additional decisions. Even if you've never heard of decision fatigue, you have probably experienced it, especially during the pandemic, which has added a new layer of complexity to the everyday choices we face. There's no aspect of the pandemic that has not thrown decisions at us that we haven't had to make before, says psychologist Barry Schwartz, a visiting professor at the Haas School of Business at the University of California at Berkeley and author of The Paradox of Choice. Things that used to require no thought or effort now require a lot of planning. In the COVID world, so much is uncertain. We haven't had practice making decisions under these circumstances. Furthermore, the information we need to make decisions keeps changing, says Lynn Bufka, a practicing psychologist in Maryland and Senior Director for Practice Transformation and Quality at the American Psychological Association. And with the pandemic, some decisions are fraught with some level of risk, which can lead to anxiety, which can impair our ability to take in information and make decisions. Decision-making is challenging under any circumstances because there are a lot of moving pieces to the process. People have to consider their preferences and how they're linked to their goals and values. They commit themselves to a course of action, and there are evaluative steps, including cost-benefit calculations, explains consumer psychologist Kathleen Vose, a professor of marketing at the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. In combination, this makes it a very taxing psychological experience. And some things make it more taxing. The more complicated a decision is, the more it wears you out, Schwartz says. When decision fatigue kicks in, you may feel like you just don't have the mental bandwidth to deal with more decisions. This can lead to decisional paralysis or depleted self-control, causing you to avoid making certain choices entirely, to go with the default option, or to make ones that aren't in line with your goals or values, experts say. Decision fatigue is more than just a feeling. It stems in part from changes in brain function. Research using functional magnetic resonance imaging has shown that there's a sweet spot for brain function when it comes to making choices. When people were asked to choose from sets of 6, 12, or 24 items, activity was highest in the striatum and the anterior cingulate cortex, both of which coordinate various aspects of cognition. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.